Hey guys, Scott here. Today I want to ask the question, is this DBD's worst year? Is 2025 the worst year in Dead by Daylight's history? I've seen discussions about this on Reddit and forums and even on Twitter. And for the most part, I think I can safely say I don't think this is the worst year that we've ever had. I think there have been a couple of times in this game's history where it has just objectively, in terms of shit being broken and stuff like that, it has been worse. However, I do think this feels like the worst time in DBD's history, and that's for a number of reasons that I want to get into in this video. But first up, let's go over like a brief history of things where, things have been significantly more broken. Like in 2016, killers could equip survivor perks, and you could have killers with bond and just wall hack everywhere. There was shit like actually that broken. 2017, we just had double pallets everywhere, vacuum pallets. That game was just incredibly frustrating. Like 2018, 2019, we got Original Legion, which is the worst killer they've ever made. 2021, we had possibly the worst patch in the game's history, where we had Twins come out, and Twins was insanely broken and still is insanely broken to this day. Then we had Trickster, and just nobody likes Trickster. Trickster's game design is just not at all fun to go against. It's really not that fun to play at all. Trickster was just pretty much seen as a constant failure. And then we had, after that, Nemesis came out, and Nemesis was kind of cool, thematic and stuff like that, except the game didn't run for console players, so like half the player base couldn't even play the game. Then we had Original RPD with that, which was the worst map designed by mortal men, so that was bad. And then after that, I think we had Pinhead. Then there was the whole NFT thing. Like, basically 2021 was the example of a year where like basically everything went wrong every single patch. And it kind of almost feels like we're like that for this year, but not quite, because we've had a couple of disappointments this year, but they really haven't been on that level, in my opinion. However, it still feels like the worst year because, in my opinion, this has been the most consistent string of like negative PR that we've ever gotten from the game. In terms of things that they've actually released, a lot of it's been pretty decent, but not great. Like, for example, Springtrap was pretty cool. I'd say very thematic. I think the old, like, looking through the camera system itself, it's, very Soy Jack, oh my god, FNAF. And I think that's really cool. I think they did a good job with the model, sounds and everything. It's all very, close to home. Again, I don't remember his patented axe, but for the most part, the design of him was pretty neat. But at the same time, his gameplay ended up, he's just stealth huntress that can teleport across the map. That's basically what you do. The actual overall crazy arc is almost useless, 90% of the time. It's just not feasible to do crazy moonshots like that. So people basically figured out that, yeah, okay, he's just basically just like better huntress, I guess. And so that ended up kind of being disappointed over time. Then we had Krasu, who basically just has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Basically, at some point, everybody has hated the Krasu. Survivors hated going against them. And now currently, no one plays the Krasu because they were nerfed in a little way. They're still very good, but I guess people just enjoyed the insane S-tier strength she used to have, and now that she's more like an A-tier, people just don't want to mess with her. So no one plays her, so we can kind of consider her a failure. We had an immense amount of PR, negative PR. The whole Chandler Rig stream obviously is one of the most prominent ones, but there's just been a lot of stuff that they've done, like even recently, just like with how on the thinnest of ice behavior currently is. They just decided to basically make the rewards for the winter event significantly less than normal. If you compare the rewards from previous years, there's like way less iridescent shards, which are a currency most players actually genuinely want, because that lets you get new content, new cosmetics and stuff like that. It's not just blood points for add-ons and stuff. So even with all the negative PR they've gotten with the whole Chandler Rigs thing, and then the whole palette density change being really bad one way, then fucking up in the other direction. With all the negative attention they've been getting, they decide to then shaft players on in-game currency for a holiday event, which, like, it just seems like they're almost just trying to piss people off at this point. And here is the depressing part. All of this feels really bad, and it does. Like, this is not a placebo. It genuinely feels bad. This has been a very consistent negative string of things from behavior, and because of that, it feels like the game is in a much worse state than it actually is. So that is completely fair to think that it is the worst, when I don't really think it is the worst, but it really feels like it, because we have not had that moment of reprieve, like, in the past 6 months. We've had no, like, okay, they did a good thing, we can take a deep breath. Like, they've done a good thing here or there. The resolve bar, the anti-face cam meter being seen by everyone in your solo queue lobby, that's really nice. We've been asking for that, and that's great, but it's not really enough to make you take a deep breath and go, okay, Finally, we're on the right track now. I'm feeling better about the game. People do not feel good about the game right now. Everyone feels really bad about the game. Even the most diehard DBD fans, people that are usually really positive about the game, most people do not feel very positively about that right now. The whole frustrating thing about all of this is all true. We all feel these things, and it's all genuinely a real thing. But the player base is not really reflecting the negativity that the community currently has. Like, DBD still an average of like 50K peak players, which is, way less than before. But I think we all expected it to go down after Five Nights at Freddy's. We were never going to retain the 120,000 peak cap that we got there. No one's delusional to think that, but it's gone down to basically what it was at the beginning of the year, which is like, a relatively healthy player base. The game's doing fine. And you would think, with all this negativity and all the complaining you're seeing about it, valid complaints, by the way, that the player base would be worse. So many people saying, that's it, I'm done, I'm not playing anymore till they fix the pallet density, or I'm not done till they fix X, Y, Z, whatever. Not done, I'm not playing, I'm not playing. But it turns out people start playing. So either those people are just lying and they're addicted to the game and they're still playing the game, or the far more likely outcome is the people complaining are the veteran players. These are the players that know and have seen behavior do the same shit in the past. So we basically have no levels of forgiveness left for them anymore. So when they make a fuck up and they say, all right, we're going to try hard to fix this, we hear you loud and clear. How many times have you heard behavior say, we hear you loud and clear. We're going to get right on that feedback and fuck up the game in a different way. We've heard this 50,000 times. You and I watching this video, I'm guessing if you're watching external DBD content, you probably have been playing the game for a decent amount of time. I don't really do new tutorials or anything like that for new players, kind of like Otz would. So I typically have players that have played the game for a decent amount of time watching my videos, at least most of the time. I know some people don't play at all and they just like hearing me yap about random shit. But for the most part, I think a lot of you have, a decent amount of hours in the game. The thing is, the people that make up probably the majority of the player base, they maybe only play once a day every other day, or they've only been playing for 6 months or something like that. Basically, they're just not in tune with how behavior has been. In a nutshell, to simplify it, they're just very naive about behavior. They think, okay, this is a bad patch, but it'll be fine next time. And then we get Vecna coming out soon too. It'll be really cool. Don't worry about those other problems. It'll be fine. Because they haven't lived through it. It's like literally the Nam flashbacks, but you haven't lived through how many times behavior has fucked up. And because of that, these players tend to be more forgiving for nasty mistakes or bad PR that they will make. They just simply haven't seen them do it enough times to go, okay, I don't care anymore. I know you're full of shit. I know it's not going to be fixed. They think, they're still all sunny-eyed and rosy-eyed and think, oh, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. Behavior will do well with these things. And you know what? Even if they're wrong, they just simply haven't experienced the game long enough. It doesn't really matter, because if behavior is catering to that type of player, which it seems like they are, which again, monetarily speaking, is probably the smartest idea. A constant influx of new players means they have to buy more content, they have to buy more cosmetics, they have to buy more new killers and survivors and things like that, compared to an old player who might just get a new skin when it comes out, but they already have everything, so there's nothing left to unlock. It makes sense to cater to a much bigger source of new income. So I don't really think anything is going to change, because they have no incentive to change. Despite such community outrage, the player base has barely moved. It's just barely nudged a tiny bit downward, not even to the point where behavior would be remotely concerned. The only thing that would ever make them concerned, and that would make them actually start changing things for the better and doing correct decisions and not just doing this on one side and then this on the other side and pissing one side off every time, would be a drastic drop in the player base. And like I said, because they very wisely, monetarily speaking, cater to the casual player that simply hasn't had enough time to become jaded with the level of bullshit that behavior puts them through, they're fine. They don't really care about that, and they have no incentive to change. So that's the really frustrating part about all this. Financially speaking, they have no reason to do anything other than what they're currently doing. So I don't really see a way to fix that, because they have no incentive to fix that. There's no way we can get casual players to stop playing the game, because they only play it once every, couple of days or something. If you were like, stop playing DBD, they'd be like, all right, whatever. I might do it if, Jeff wants to play a game or something later today. It seems to be like an unfixable scenario. And again, the only thing that would fix this is a drastically dwindling player base, but because behavior wisely caters to the casual players who don't know about all this stuff, I don't see a world where that happens. So basically, tough shit. We're going to deal with it. last video when I said I really was stepping back from DBD a bit because I just don't want to play right now, I meant that. I haven't played DBD in over a week. I've been streaming Dark Souls and just going through the Soul series, and that's been fun. Night Rain DLC is coming out. I might check out the winter event for like a day, but really I feel like I'm not going to be mainly back until Vecna comes out, because then I actually have a new toy to play with and something to look forward to and to be excited about. But yeah, as of right now, I'm sticking to my guns. I'm just not playing DBD whatsoever. Hope things are going better for you. Sorry to be Debbie Downer about all this stuff, but that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.